a good day. So for today's video, we're gonna talk about the first cartoon appearance of those wild and wacky Super Friends siblings, the Wonder Twins. So alright, let's go. Oh, and Gleek, yeah.
Alright, so we start off at the Metropolis Municipal Airport, where we see a mechanic giving a plane the old look over. He has assessed that this plane is screwed and should not be flown. It has a bad carburetor, so it could conk out at any minute if it was flying. It's grounded. Kaput! But luckily, two idiots named Jeff and Corky decide to steal this plane and go for a little joyride. Going for a joyride in a plane? Holy crap, man. Like, I don't even care that it's a two-seater. Of all things to go for a joyride in, a plane? Well, I guess Corky is working on getting his pilot's license, and he's only like 2 hours away of flight time to actually get it, so he feels entitled to just take any plane that he wants whenever he wants, which sounds criminal and dumb. And if not being authorized to take this plane was not criminal enough, he decided to fly really low and basically dive bomb all the people at the beach. Oh my god, this guy is certifiably insane! But he almost took out two sibling alien surfers named
Zan and Jayna,
and their monkey, Gleek.
and none of them are too happy with their lives almost being taken.
But these two Wonder Twins get a call from the airport warning them about these plane thieves, which is a call that they got maybe, 10 minutes too late, but also that the plane's engine could stop at any minute, so like horrible things may ensue. Therefore, Zan and Jayna activate their Wonder Twin powers. Jayna turns into an eagle, and Zan turns into a small little splash of water. What? Oh, it's so he can go into the bucket and be transported. Oh, okay, that actually makes sense. As the Wonder Twins catch up to the plane, Corky sees them, but he decides to speed up
And leave them in the air dust.
which I guess, in a way, I can't blame him.
If I was also high flying and I seen an eagle start talking to me, yeah,
I would probably freak out too. So in this regard, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But who would have guessed it? The plane's engines conk out, and unfortunately, there is nowhere to land.
they are in the mountains. It's crash or nothing.
So the Wonder Twins have to up their game. Jayna turns into a pterodactyl. Holy crap! And Zen turns into the form of a lake. So they could land the plane safely on his face, I guess. But still, like a pterodactyl and a lake. Wow! I would not have predicted that, but that's actually really impressive. And luckily, their plan works. Pterodactyl Jayna grabs the plane and safely lands it on
Lake Zan.
So the day is saved! Hooray! The two idiot high flyers are saved, the plane is saved and returned to the airport, and the joyride is over. And over for quite some time for Corky. He's learned his lesson not to steal airplanes. And now he will have to wait 2 years to get his pilot's license. And, that's it? That's his punishment? Just a 2-year pause on him getting his pilot's license? Has he not proved that he shouldn't have a pilot's license? Like, A, the theft of the plane, but B, dive bombing the people at the beach wasn't, like, enough? So, like, plane theft, endangering the public? Like, no criminal charges? Ah!
Man, no wonder crime is so rampant in the metropolis, hey?
Man, I don't even know what to say. So, I guess, with that, that is the end of this era.
Wonder Tale.
So yeah, hey, that's actually not too bad of an episode. Especially as an introduction episode, right? Just short and sweet and to the point. All we really need to know is who these Wonder Twins are and what their powers are. And actually, what an awesome set of powers! With Zen being able to turn into any form of water, it might sound kind of cheesy on the surface, But actually, wow, like he turned himself into a frickin' lake. A lake! Like that's an incredible amount of water. Holy jeez! If he really wanted to, he could turn himself into a tsunami and destroy a coastal city. Also, with Jayna and her shape-shifting abilities, she can turn into any animal. And she turns into a pterodactyl. Holy crap! A freaking pterodactyl, man! That is totally badass. And really, that's kind of interesting, right? Like, could she turn into, Snuffleupagus? Or the Predator? I'm just saying, what is the limit of her power in this? One thing that I found really odd about this episode was the whole point of Corky and Jeff stealing a plane and going all nuts with it. What the hell did they have to gain with that joyride, right? It would have made a whole lot more sense if it was two crooks trying to get away and they're like, hey, we found a plane, let's fly out of here, But I guess they needed that moral at the end of the story, saying joyriding is bad, stealing a vehicle is bad, and stealing a plane is double bad, because holy crap. So in the end, it's all good. So, like I say, it's a pretty awesome episode. Pretty awesome to see the Wonder Twins in their first adventure. So if you haven't checked out this episode yet, I suggest you do. But with that, we do have some more behind the scenes kind of things with Gleek and Zen and Jayna and all that kind of stuff going on over here.
So yes indeed, the Wonder Twins. Let us take a look as to how these characters came to be. So, in Season 1 of the Super Friends, you had a couple of sidekick characters named Wendy, Marvin, and Wonder Dog. These were characters that were created for the show, and they were supposed to be comedy relief, if you agree with that or not, and they were also supposed to be stand-ins for the younger audience, so the kids watching the show could live vicariously through these characters and be part of the Super Friends team. These characters, though, really weren't super popular, and they kind of made no sense. They were superheroes in training, even though they clearly had no superpowers whatsoever. So for the new season of Super Friends, they decided to change these characters. You could have given them superpowers, or you could have just created new characters with superpowers, which is what they did. And they started to do quite a bit of brainstorming. They were inspired by Donnie and Marie Osmond being siblings and having that really positive can-do attitude. They decided that these siblings were aliens, so you need some kind of an alien look for them, and they looked no further than Star Trek, and specifically Mr. Spock, because clearly it's the only logical idea. So now they need some names for the characters. Originally, they decided to go really basic and go with Dick and Jane, because Jack and Jill would have been a little too silly, I guess. But then they decided that Dick and Jane was just a little too generic. They eventually became inspired by Tarzan and Jane. If you drop the tar from Tarzan, you just get Zan. That's a cool alien-sounding name. And if you just add the letter A to the end of Jane, well, you get Jayna. So you got the look, you got the name, you got their personalities, now they just need superpowers. Originally for Zen, they were thinking of giving him the same powers of Plastic Man. He can stretch here, there, and everywhere. And for Jayna, she would have the power to transform into anything. And I mean anything. An animal, a vehicle, a tree, a skyscraper, whatever, right? Eventually, they thought that these powers were just a little too overpowered, and it might overshadow the Super Friends, so they toned the powers back. Zan now only has the power to transform into any form of water, be it gaseous, liquid, or solid form, and really any size as well, like as we've seen with him turning into a lake. Jayna's powers were pulled back to be able to only transform into animals, either current or extinct, and potentially imaginary. The twins' powers can only be activated if they do a fist bump, saying the phrase, "Wonder Twins powers activate," and they activate into whatever. And with that, you have the Wonder Twins. But seeing as Wendy and Marvin had a pet dog, they figured that Zan and Jayna should have some form of a pet as well. If these are exotic alien characters, they should have some kind of an exotic alien pet. The original idea was to have a super strong ape named Mighty Monkey, but again, he might have been too overpowered, so they toned him down to be just a ridiculous sidekick comedy character. However funny you may find him or not. And they gave him the corny name of Gleek. And with that, you have the Wonder Twins. And you never really got an explanation as to how they got their powers. It's just basically, here they are, here's their powers, and go. Especially back in cartoons in the day, you didn't really need to, explain how they got their powers, just that they have them. But we would learn more about them in the comic books, to where they made their comic book debut in Super Friends number 7 in 1977. Where they first crash-landed on our planet, and it was actually a really nice segue kind of tie-in between Season 1 and 2 of the Super Friends. It was actually Wendy, Marvin, and Wonder Dog who found Zan, Jayna, and Gleek, introduced them to the Super Friends, and kind of helped them out with their injuries and all that kind of stuff. So actually a pretty nice little segue. We would learn more about their origin in Super Friends number 14 in 1978, where we learned that they were from the planet Exor, and only a very small amount of the population could transform into something else, where they were regarded as mutants. Unfortunately, Zan and Jayna's parents died in a planet-wide disease, so Zan and Jayna grew up in a circus where they were basically sideshow freaks, which is where they befriended Gleek, the monkey. Them wanting more in life, they escaped the circus, they escaped the planet, and they crash-landed on Earth, where we get to the events from issue number 7. So that is pretty neat. But the Wonder Twins did live on beyond the Super Friends, either in comic or cartoon form. They made their official DC Universe debut in Extreme Justice number 9 in 1995, and would eventually even get their own comic book in Wonder Twins number 1 in 2019. And beyond that, these guys actually appeared in quite a bit of DC comic features beyond the Super Friends. They appeared in DC live-action shows or DC cartoons. They had toys. They had a whole bunch of things. There was talks of a live-action movie, which eventually got cancelled. But still, for a couple of characters that were only supposed to be just for one cartoon show, they actually did pretty good. So in that regard, I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed with them. So with all the stuff Wonder Twins, regarding Super Friends, it all started, with this featured episode. And for all the other stuff outside of that, we'll get to it when we get to it. So with this, that, those, and the other things, I guess that's that. Also, if you're interested, I created my own comic book channel, 215 Comics, and currently I have created my own cartoon series, The Adventures of the Density, and recently started a radio series featuring my newest character, Elastomorph, with more titles to come. So if you want to check it out, I'll leave a link up top here to that channel, and some links at the end of the video. Yay! Right on, and there you go. So thanks for watching the video. I hope you liked it as much as I did making it. Also, feel free to check out the source material that I featured in this video. And if you want to leave a comment on anything you may have liked or things I might have missed in this, feel free to do so. Or anything else, just to say hi. That's cool too. And other than that, have a great day. Thanks.